Good evening, everybody. It's the Old Wolf with you again for another episode. The Witch and the Wolf Wisdom Podcast coming at you live, Rochester, New York. It is 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So once again, we find ourselves dancing in the realm of the empath, the emotions. Tonight's episode, the Sacral Chakra. Going to take a look at it from a couple different perspectives. No coincidence. In the background, starting off the show, we have another of my little dances into composing new music. And it really was, again, inspired by the witch sitting next to me here.
Hello, hello.
And it is basically a interpretation, a meditation music based around the chakra, sacral or sacral.
Sacral.
We'll talk about that later.
About that
right,
earlier.
right.
Yes.
But, and again, within these dynamics, what we know from exploring it to the degrees that we have, that certain energies have certain tones, certain frequencies. So it is set as a binaural 417 hertz, and the Sacral chakra is attuned to, in music, D. So as a musician, I use that as the framework. This one, I took some little bit more guitar elements and then, an old school kind of, flute dynamic to weave that little bit of Merlin type mystical, ooh, we're in the forest, But again, that's to me how it feels. When I create these, I really try to the best of my ability not to think of it in the dynamic of creating a song, because it is difficult as a songwriter sometimes to work within certain dynamics or frameworks. But in these compositions, they are truly more within a dynamic of energy. And again, from the context of meditative music, they are repeating. So it isn't like, okay, I'm going to tell you a story, and that story is going to be 3 minutes long, maybe 5 minutes long. If you're Pink Floyd, maybe it's 20 minutes long. But either way, this is weaving of energy. So it has a pattern, it has a structure to it that is different from a song composition, in my humble opinion. So before I forget, all the views, expressions, thoughts, etc., expressed are me, the old wolf, yeah, and sometimes the witch. And sometimes you. I also wanted to start throwing in a little bit of a disclaimer. Much of the topic and conversation and such is of an adult nature. We don't promote or throw in pornography out here, but, if we're going to be honest, some of the subject matter is edgy, some of it is adult, some of it comedic, some of it not, but, viewer discretion advised. Again, as a parent, I want to humbly, just again, before I start throwing fucks out there, okay, and I did warn you.
Did warn them.
Okay. I am who I am. I'm not going to try and pretend to be anything else. But again, I would like to believe that I'm still able to grow and adapt and evolve. And I truly do want to keep multiple perspectives, multiple angles, multiple opinions to the best of my ability without hopefully compromising the content of what I do. So, yes, there it is. Now you can see up there on the screen, for those of you who are watching, the witch has thrown me under the bus again. She made a management call. So this month's contest to win a free private tarot reading will be with me, the old wolf.
Yeah.
She's decided she has too much on her plate. She's like, you fucking read tarot anyway, so fuck you. Here's the promotion. I'm the manager. You work for me. This was just, and we were joking.
It's funny how this became a whole fuck you conversation when it was like, hey, you should do some of these. And you're like, hey, yeah, I can do it.
No, I mean, again,
never mind.
We've talked about that. We've talked about that in the dynamic before. But, you know, again, if we're really going to be honest, it was, you know, basically, you know, I'm a badly dressed whore. You put me out on the corner. You're like, go make me money, like the pimp that you are.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Keep that pimp hand strong.
Yeah. So it does work both ways. Equal opportunity offenders, I like to. And we had a better joke earlier, and I thought that was great.
If you're gonna do it, you're gonna do it, aren't you?
You're right half of the time, and you're wrong half of the time, and I'm right half of the time, and I'm wrong half of the time. So together,
we're right all the time.
But we're also fucking wrong
no,
all the time. But that's the truth. I love it, though. I mean, really. I mean, what better paradox for the human equation than that? You know what I mean?
All I'm saying is we're right all the time.
We're right all the time. All righty, then. Well, so we're right all the time.
Yes.
So, in keeping with the themes, some of the things that we have been doing, and again, as mentioned, has been basically submissions from the people who do hang out and interact. And listen, I appreciate all of it. You know what I mean? Don't get me wrong. Double-edged sword. You know, I don't want thousands of, you know, people at the same time, because there'd be no way I'd be able to interact and do the things that I do. So in many ways, having this intimate atmosphere is really cool. You know, it's not unlike doing shows at small clubs. Yeah, it's nice to bang out in Madison Square Garden now and then, but you know, pulling off shows like that, it's a pain in the fucking ass. It's a logistics nightmare. Ask the guys who put on Woodstock. Okay? They'll tell you it was a fucking nightmare. Okay? But we remember Woodstock for all the great stuff it is, but...
Yeah, but there was some very interesting...
This was a logistical fucking nightmare.
Yeah, it was a logistical nightmare, but the reason why it was such a success was because of the people and the dynamics and stuff like that, and you really can't duplicate that. People tried...
Well, here it is, language. It depends on what your definition of success is. Success as far as a cultural dynamic, success as far as really putting some incredible music out there in the forefront. Yes. Success is a financial endeavor, as it was originally intended. Yeah. No.
Not a success for that.
You know what I mean? Success for... you know, the dynamics of the DOT and, you know, how much traffic they could handle. Yeah, no. A lot of things you could make a case for. And again, we, as people, we tend to pick and choose what we remember, what we see. And, you know, that's okay to some degrees. But again, you know, that dynamic, that intimate dynamic has a lot of advantages. So with that being said, one of the things that I have been getting submissions on is to, you know, we talk about, you know, people that we involve with, we talk about ourselves, I talk about myself. Shiya is notorious on her lives. You know, she likes... Yes, well, I pick certain words for particular reasons. She goes on her lives and she gets out there and she interacts and she's cool with that dynamic. I'm more of a DJ kind of guy. I don't do the whole, you know, pictures on film and, you know, that type. Listen, it's just not part of who I am. I'm a musician. I'm a composer. I'm a storyteller. You don't need to see me. But because people have been pushing on it and you've been pushing on it, so I have been making a point to at least attempt. Now, again, context. You know what I mean? Yes, this is me and the witch, okay? Yeah. This is the wolf and the witch. Okay?
Yes.
So, for anybody who was wondering, yes, we are actually a couple.
That was a little trail out in New Jersey.
Yes, it was. Nice. Yes, it was. Now, again, the flip side, sometimes our moments can be turned into, as I like to call it, fuck you reminders. This is my witch's screensaver.
Yes.
And you can see the 1111, okay, and it's literally a screen capture shot from her fucking phone.
Yep.
Me, just obviously, like, really, because there's a dynamic and some personal dynamic.
Around with a photo, with a camera.
1111 is just like my bane, okay, because it has been used against me for years, and everybody here picks on me. Like, listen, I am abused in ways that you just could not imagine. And I come out here on Tuesday nights to, you know, to just basically stay sane and not murder the world. But that's another story for another day.
Dude,
but yes, that is me as a meme, basically.
11.
Which, you know, hey, you know, which is really, really cool. Now, some other people we talk about and, you know, the dynamics, and I chose specific representations. You know, we talk about my son, the monkey. We talk about the indigo monkey.
Indigo monkey.
I'm going to do his promo thing again a little bit later. I'm going to talk about that. But they're like, all right, who is this monkey that you speak of? Who is... So,
He's
okay,
pretty
this...
monkey.
That's the fucking monkey.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh my God, you picked that one.
Oh yeah, it's my favorite. It's one of my favorite pictures of him in recent times. It was done by a guy that we know, Jeff Crespi, who's a pretty well-known photographer in the Central Jersey rock scene. Mm-hmm. And it was from a show we did at, you know, the Stone Pony in Asbury Park. And I tell you, there was nothing. It was like a drug. It's the only way I can describe it. It was fucking high. My kid just fucking kicking ass on that stage in that crowd, just blasting out. And, you know, it's a memory that will carry me. It inspires me. It sits in my gut.
It doesn't sit in your sacral chakra?
Does that...
That's an inspiration point.
Does that correlate?
It actually does.
Wow.
Okay. Yes.
So something as simple as a memory.
Yes.
You know, again, in that dynamic.
Well, butterflies in your stomach. You've heard that.
Yeah.
When you just had that satisfied feeling in your gut, you know, that gut feeling. That's your sacral chakra.
Now, is it the same thing when I get the butterflies and then, like, I puke on myself? Or is that something different?
That would be your sacral chakra in rebellion.
Oh, in rebellion.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
So,
well,
like,
I guess I can get behind that.
Digestive issues and stuff like that can be sacral chakra.
Right. Okay.
issues.
Hey, listen. The witch says it. The witch wisdom. I have to take it.
Between the two of us, we're right all the time.
Yes. So we must be right.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the that's the fucking indigo monkey. Okay.
Yes.
There he is.
Yes. Family is part of the sacral.
Yes.
Absolutely. Sacral dynamic.
Very nice.
Family.
Yes. Thank you.
Very true.
Now again, I have a capacity. There's a lot of fuck. You can see it here. This is an impromptu moment at my mother's house. You can see, you know, yeah, it's a fuck you moment, you know, and I use that in the context of my language.
You were having a deep conversation with your mom, and I was sneaking photos. That's what that was.
Yes. But it's instinctual. My point is, and, you know, again, in the spirit of just, hey, this is how I speak. You know what I mean? I understand people make, well, you know, you don't have to. Yes, I do. That's who I am. That's how I grew up. That's what spoke to me. And hence now how I speak. And, you know, again, context, I understand. Well, listen, I don't go into, like, you know, a children's daycare center for Family Day and be like, hey, fuck you, kids. No, obviously not. But this is my podcast.
Around children. So.
Well, yeah. You know, there's a time, place for everything.
I do too.
But, again, and we'll get to some more of the dynamics, people. I do want to talk about a couple of other things. My brother, Tattoo, Tony Rodriguez, has a show coming up March 3rd, 2023 at the Stone Pony, Asbury Park, New Jersey. Broken Pass, Black Rose Rebellion, Spawn Ranch, and Corbett Corpus. It's going to be a kick-ass show. Broken Pass is going to be debuting their new singer. They're coming out with a whole new dynamic. Wayne and Brian are still going to be anchoring behind Tony. They have a new singer. And listen, again, not to be, you know, again, against anybody else, I think it's a step in the right direction. You know what I mean? I believe in the dynamic that music should represent the people involved. You know what I mean? And, you know, you can make a case, you know, they were a good band before. We had a great time. We were a good band when we were first together. But the dynamic, the core, has always been Tony. And because of that dynamic, it should, and I think it's better now, going to reflect the dynamic of that. They're still a band. Listen, that's not to say, like, you know, he's some, like, little fucking dictator. He's not. But, you know, in the core of the band, Broken Past, you know what I mean? It's, you know, not unlike any other band that started he's the original core member.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Marshall Tucker still plays out there with one original member. Queen plays out there minus Freddie Mercury, but they're still fucking Queen. It's just somebody else singing.
Right.
You know, so you have Broken Past now with a new, and I believe ultimately going to be a better singer.
Now, Broken Past is very much into a lot of metal. Yes, rock metal.
Yes, you would definitely say they're cutting deeper into the metal end of the spectrum, which again is no coincidence. It's, you know, Tony's bass teacher is the bass player for Black Label Society,
Right.
which Zakk Wylde, Ozzy Osbourne. You know, so there are correlations now in the direction that Tony has. You know, I've known the guy for a long time. He's my friend. This is what he wants, and it should be an expression of that.
I'm going to be the asshole that's going to tie this into our topic today, the sacral chakra. Metal music has very heavy elements of bass playing, Tony being the bass player, drums, and just the guitars drive behind and with those basses and drums to really bring out the emotions of your gut.
Listen,
and let you express the emotions of your gut.
Every metalhead on the planet, I think, would be cheering right now, giving you the Satan horn to say, "Fuck yeah, man!
Yeah,
that witch, she got that shit, man! Oh,
chakra music, yeah, man!"
But music is a reflective of energy, and energy comes in many different shapes, forms, and sizes. So yeah, March 3rd, check them out if you guys, anybody out there in the Central Jersey area. And even if not, check them out on Facebook. Check them out on YouTube. If you're into metal, check them out.
Check it out.
Love you, brother. We also have other friends and family that do things, and we try and support them.
Yes.
Like our sisters, Bobby and Sherry with Moonbeams. Why don't you tell them a little bit about them real quick?
Well, best bracelets I've ever had. Hands down. I love them. For the stretchy bracelets, fucking fantastic. Jewelry, all kinds of spell kits, bottles, you name it. They've actually got a physical location in Corpus, but they will ship all over the world.
Which is really cool.
Yeah, and if you, for example, need a sacral chakra piece of jewelry, you can, get in touch with them and say, hey, this is what I really want, and they will absolutely custom make you bracelets, jewelry, whatever for you. It's fantastic.
So check them out, Facebook or Instagram, or reach out to Shiya. Shiya can get in touch with them directly or put you in contact. But listen again, Moonbeams.
20% off your first item from them if you mention me.
Yeah.
Or the wolf.
Keep that corporate machine going. Now listen, and again,
that's not a corporate machine. That is
being completely sarcastic.
Supporting small business, you're supporting not only somebody's dream, but you're putting food directly on their table. That's all I'm saying.
But we should make them into a corporation. That should how it be. I think we have everything reversed. We let these idiots who don't really do anything run. Let's take it over.
Let's take the corporations away from the asshats.
Yes.
And give them to small businesses instead.
And I think somebody that would be really good for that.
My nephew. Speaking of Corpus.
My sister Ashley Hart's Creations.
Yes.
Dream Catchers with Intention. She came on the other
She's on
week.
Now.
Well, no, I was talking about she came on live and actually, shared some deep and heavy stuff. I really appreciated that. But she's also, one of the people within the scope of the things that we do community-wide. And she designs not only dream catchers, but, really powerful, magical dynamics,
She's been
spell
doing
boxes.
Spell boxes that are like miniature Zen gardens, but they're spell gardens. They're Zen gardens that she's infused the actual box with powers and runes and sigils and puts them together, blesses them all, and puts the right rocks for the different spells. So every time you're sitting there playing with your Zen garden, you're creating and activating that spell, that energy. It's great. I
absolutely agree. Couldn't have said it better. So yeah, check her out. Facebook.com/Harts, and that's HARTS Creations. Or again, reach out through Shiya, LadyShiya.com. I'd be an asshole if I, of course, obviously did not promote
The
the
witch?
witch who lives in my bed. And
I do live in
Karen
your bed.
Helt, you make a great point, and I'm going to answer that in a moment. But again, I have to take care of the manager here, so I don't get my ass kicked later. But I promise you, we're coming back to you immediately because you make a great point, and I do actually have a thought on that. But yes, Shiya's mentorship circle.
Yeah, that's where I dump out my knowledge from 35 years out for you to self-paced learning. Plus, we have journaling, community chats. All my spell archives go there. It's basically an online book of shadows of mine, plus everybody else's, and we all come together and learn and support one another. And if you want to learn it, I'm probably going to teach it.
And it continues to grow and expand.
Constantly.
So, I mean, it is still evolving, and I think it will continue to evolve, especially as more people get involved.
Hey, Marcia.
Certain dynamics of things, again, take a little time to build organically and structure so they work correctly. But, again, incredible dynamics, a lot of really wild stuff,
Awesome shit. Yeah, we got a lot of good shit going on, including my masterclass, which I did a couple of teaching Thursdays ago. I do teaching Thursdays every Thursday, which is topics that we learn on every week, new topics. And I did my master class of how to learn the tarot. An hour and a half of learning every single card in the deck in a way you can remember it.
Well, you're a witch. I mean, what else can be said?
Magic.
That's what you do.
So yeah, the midterm. You'll get it. You got this, girl. You got this.
Check it out. Facebook. Shiya's mentorship.
Yeah. Just go to LadyShiya.com. You'll find it.
There you go.
Yeah, LadyShiya.com.
So, yes, listen, fear is a real thing, and it's okay to be scared. You do what you can, you learn from it, hon. Sometimes that's the only thing you can do, but in the aspect, do everything that you can. If you've done the studying, if you've done the practical dynamics, trust in that. Because many times, we, especially as high-functioning empaths, we just overanalyzing. It's our self-esteem, okay? It's not real, okay? Again, question yourself if you feel that you are truly not prepared, but in the same dynamic, you know what I mean? Do the work, okay?
Yeah.
All our prayers in the world won't do a thing if we don't do our practical dynamics. Now, again, I've seen you interact, so my instinct tells me that you're more than intelligent enough to handle it. You know what the fuck you're doing, okay?
Yeah.
All right, so wherever the little trigger dynamic of, why Marcia gets scared, fuck that trigger, okay? The wolf says, nah, Marcia got this, okay? You got it, hon.
Yeah.
And even if you don't worry about it, because these dynamics, they're conditioned to make us freak the fuck out.
Yep.
Okay? You're going to be great. You're going to be fine. No matter what, you're going to be fine.
And but Karen, yes, I do use the Witch's Tarot. I have it. I don't use it regularly, but I have for many years used that one. It's in my cabinet with my plethora of far too fucking many tarot decks.
I'm going to have you address that dynamic with Marcia first. Hello, Louise, Marcia, everybody, Karen. But Karen made a point, and I don't want to forget this, and I don't want to lose it, and then we're going to get into the sacral part. Mm-hmm. Why aren't we all running for some political office? Okay? Simple answer. I think it's an unfortunate one, but it's been a trend that I believe happened really into the mid-'60s when those people who really started to try and stand up and change some of the dynamics of how the system works from the inside basically were gunned down. Both the Kennedy brothers, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, the list goes on and on. So unfortunately, at some point in time in our recent history, the dynamics of political discourse and how our government works really changed. And it no longer became about people. It became about concepts. It became about dogmas. It became about elements of things or bought. And that was the point I was just going to get to. The system, in my humble opinion, is not a dynamic of people anymore. It is a dynamic of industry. It is a dynamic of commerce. It is a dynamic, unfortunately, of capitalism. And I'm not saying that to go off onto some, oh, he must be a fucking, no, I'm not a fucking communist, okay? But I'm a history guy. I've actually read the fucking Constitution. I've actually studied the dynamics of the Bill of Rights. And I've studied the dynamics of how amendments and how this country changed through cultural elements. Obvious example would be the Civil War. But, you know, again, if we're going to be honest, how long did it take, even after the fucking Civil War, to actually get a civil rights amendment? So, you know, again, rhetoric is fine. We can agree to disagree. But there are certain basic facts that those things didn't happen for almost 100 years apart. Okay? It has only been a little over 100 years or so that even women could fucking vote.
Yeah.
So, again, when we talk about the dynamics of what is politics today, humbly again, I don't believe politics are about the dynamic of real people. Because I think most people, and I'll just use the American system, Louise, political is scripted. Yes, it is. And it's forced around a narrative. So most people, they don't want the chaos on either side. So you talk to people who are quote unquote conservative, and they really don't like the crazy shit that's on the deep end of the right. And a lot of people who identify as more liberal don't like the fucking berserk rhetoric over on the left. And sometimes some of it, some of it is Christianity, some of it is dynamics of money, obviously. But these dynamics now have all been wrapped up into conditioning. This is how the system works.
Now, I would like to say something here, because one of the things, and I think I've told you this before, but when I first started going to college, the first thing I wanted to study was political science. I wanted to go into politics. That was my first year, my freshman major, or what my intended major was. And the more I studied about how screwed up the system was, the more I realized that myself and my free spirit could not thrive in that environment. And it was just fighting an uphill battle, like salmon spawning, but it's almost like a personal suicide of who I was. So that's why
there's a lot of that dynamic.
Yeah.
And again, Jojo makes a good point. It does feel to a lot of us that the public is not listened to. And if you look at it historically, the control mechanism has always been about controlling a large-scale populace to keep the machinery moving. You know, I mean, you look at the Egyptians, you look at the Romans, you know, this is how, unfortunately, civilization works in many ways. Now, there are things that we can do, and I do agree with some of the grassroots elements about people getting involved more in the local levels. I think the bigger national dynamic is just like jumping into a sewer filled with rabid alligators.
Or two hobos fucking in a shoe full of piss.
Or two hobos fucking in a shoe full of piss. Yes, great analogies.
Thank you.
But at the local levels, I believe, and I think this is really where the model can maybe be recreated to some degrees to try and start changing some of these elements. However, here's the other side of the coin. Many of these dynamics, even at the grassroots, and we've been seeing this happen, are now being kind of co-opted by the very same dynamic that we're trying to avoid. You know,
AKA militant groups of any kind.
Listen, I mean, again, we can agree to disagree on certain dynamics of things, but when you look at other elements of what's happening, especially in our schools and within small town dynamics, I'll just use an example of a little town called East Palestine in Ohio, okay, if you want to see a really good snapshot about how fucked up things really are, okay, and the dynamics that they really don't give a fuck about people because they're families, okay? There are men, women, and children in that town, okay, and government and corporations are playing fucking games with their lives with dynamics that even fucking 10-year-old children understand are absolutely ridiculous.
Yep.
And, you know, the mentality, and I'm going to just say it again, point blank, and then we're going to get into the cool, fun stuff. The mentality that somehow profit trumps human life is, to me, criminal. It is completely apathetic to humanity. It is completely contradictory to anything that's good, anything that's positive. As soon as you cross that realm, open your fucking mouth and say, but the prophet, fuck you, okay? And I'll just, and again, I'm not a religious guy, but I'll say, you know, what did Jesus say? Jesus threw the fucking money lenders out of the temple. He hung out with whores and lepers, okay? So I don't care if you're coming at it from philosophy or if you're coming at it from religion or just from basic common fucking sense. We have to live here, okay? So these companies that do this shit, they need to go, all right? We need to end this dynamic.
Yes, sir.
Stop making fucking excuses. It's the same dynamic with this crapped out infrastructure like a Flint, Michigan, where you have generations of people who have been drinking water contaminated with lead because nobody wanted to fucking just even be honest about what the fuck was going on, let alone try establish. And there are thousands of these examples all across our country. You talk to people in West Virginia, Kentucky, what the coal companies have done, okay? You talk to people in California, you talk to people in Texas, you talk to people like myself who are from New Jersey, and what's happened to the Jersey Shore, okay? It's going on everywhere, and it's not a Republican thing, it's not a Democrat thing, it's a corporate thing. It is greed. It is simply the dynamic that human lives don't matter when somebody has a buck involved.
Whew.
There will never be degrees in common sense offered because that word in itself varies from person to person. We'll never find a consensus on what common sense is. And I think that's just the honest truth. I get exactly where you're going. You know what? I'm going to switch this over so that way people can see, as you would say, da-da-da-da-da-da. That goes there.
You got to turn off.
And I have to turn off, yes, live. Okay.
Maybe turn it back off.
Turn it back on and... No.
Okay.
Yes, technical dynamics that, for whatever reason, the live chat does not want to work. So I do apologize for that little taboo, but I will read this. Karen says, it's about control of the populace, slave labor and up. Yeah, great example. Okay. You look at how certain areas of our country are developed. You look at the dynamics of inner city life, okay? There are, unfortunately, many examples. And again, it isn't just a racial dynamic. It's a class dynamic, because you will see poor white people, you will see poor black people, you will see poor Asian people, and you will see poor Latin people, okay? And everywhere you go, the dynamics of population are just simply a variable based on other dynamics.
The haves and the have-nots.
But again, the class dynamic really, again, is an old model. This has been the way civilizations have functioned, and it's a human dynamic. And unfortunately, it's a dynamic lesson that we haven't learned enough, but enough people are connecting with it that a lot of the old models are starting to fall apart. They're starting to be levels of accountability, we'll say. But we're going to have to save that for another podcast.
That falls into the sacral chakra as well, because the sacral chakra is an area of passion for us. And we should be passionate about
my original plan was I was going to go into the inspiration and the love, a little sexy.
We go where
organic.
Organic. And when we're getting into sacral chakra, we're really getting into passion.
I get it.
And we need to be passionate about our kids. Goddess Zaratanga, who homeschools her children, and they're doing much better now. That's fucking fantastic. Okay? There are ways and things that we can do to express our passions and unite with people who share our passions. Sacral chakras of the world unite.
And Goddess, I'm with you on that. I think children, in many ways, are better off in a homeschooled environment. Our schools have become chaotic at best.
I've been talking to people who are scared to send their kids to school.
And rightfully so.
Scared. Sad.
As a parent, I get it. I saw a lot that I really wish I didn't see in those years. And I can honestly say, in retrospect now, that I probably taught my son more than any of the dynamics, with the exception, you know what, I have to take this back. I will make an exception. He had a really good history teacher at one point. He had a good English teacher that both were both beyond my caliber, that I'm eternally grateful. And his ROTC years, he had an old Sarge that really was an incredible man, truly a defender. Old school knight, believed in that old dynamic of not only serving his country, but of protecting people's way of life. He loved children. He loved the dynamic of future, of being better. And even though he was a military guy, he believed in the dynamics of hope. He believed in the dynamics of peace. But he was smart enough to recognize as a wolf that sometimes you gotta bite a motherfucker.
Yes, and I see that you have an interesting image on the screen.
Yes.
Some girls have always had a thing for the wolf.
Some particular woman kind of feel like, again, I love the dynamic sometimes of our interaction and stuff. And yes, Shiya is the little girl with the balloon.
Yeah.
So.
Little Witch Riding Hood.
Yep. Now, again, also, and I had to do this one just for her, because I told her, she would get hers. Sometimes, yes. Sometimes I'm a fucking meme. That's right. And for those of you who can't see it, I'm going to give it to you now. Fuck Prince Charming. Go for the wolf. He can see you better, hear you better, and eat you better.
I can attest this is true.
Okay. So now we've covered that, and that was tonight's sexuality end of the sacral chakra.
And yes, let's talk about that. Sexuality resides in the sacral chakra. Many people think it's the root chakra. No, root is grounding. Sacral, again, is our passions, our sexuality. And when we turn around and we hate our own selves, we hate our guts, our sexuality and our passions suffer as well. Love yourself. Telling somebody to go fuck yourself is actually a public service.
Yes. Now, again, for those of you who don't know, I also believe in the dynamic that, again, language, knowledge needs to be passed. And some of this we need to correct. The old dynamics, the old conditioning, and dare I say, the old lies, okay? For those of you who can't see the screen now, okay? The word witch comes from the Old English Wicca, meaning wise woman. I knew she was going to do that.
You can't put a witch on the
screen. But this is the dynamic. This is what's happened. This is how civilizations fucking fall apart.
And that's where
because our language gets taken from us and it gets bastardized.
We were never called witches until the 14th century when they wrote the Malefictorious Maledictum Malefictorious notorious blah, 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 demonology thingy. And then all of a sudden, we were witches.
Absolutely. Louise,
We were the wise women.
thank you very much for that. You're right. And she says, and again, I can't, I'm going to try it again and see if this fucking thing will work.
If you want me to slide in over there and fix it, I will.
Uh-oh. She said she's going to slide in here and fix it, boys and girls. Ooh. All right. So I'm going to keep talking, and the witch is going to slide in here.
Sit right there.
Oh, Jesus.
I'm on your lap.
Good God. All right. See, this is not allowed. All right. The FCC
I will keep
says
it somewhat
standard.
PG-13. Here, I'll move that. So
Yes,
right
and there are actually, there are variations. It's, again, as Karen says, which also originally meant alchemy, which denotes a male dynamic. But some of this has, again, unfortunately been lost in translation. These are the dynamics, again, when certain words become co-opted and then in a context, which becomes bastardized. My brother Jonathan, John Porter, says, and quite accurately,
go ahead. You just ignore
witchcraft
me.
wasn't even a part of the fucking Bible. Okay? It wasn't. All right? This was shit that got fucking made up. And it got made up because the dynamics of what it represented was contradictory to what they were trying to sell. AKA, women who actually thought for themselves, oh, no, we can't have that. We got to burn them at the fucking, they burn them. Okay? They were fucking hunted down, prosecuted, all kinds of stuff. So yes, even the tech witch here could not save the chat.
No, for some reason it is just not working. I copied the link over again and everything for the embedding.
Yep. Well, so I'll just have to try and play this through.
Yeah.
Marcia says she's had many dreams of herself in a dream, and there are witches in her dream. I am one of them. What kind of dream is that? Same people all the time. That's just, again, a translation dynamic of, comfortability, the environment, who you're relating to. Many times, and I've talked about this a lot, the aspects of what we call dreams, many times is just really reflective of our subconscious. It's not, again, that you're wrong, but our mind sometimes can only process things a particular way. And we're conditioned into using words like dreams. Okay? Now, again, sometimes a dream, is a dream. And, I'll use the analogy, you watch a scary movie about zombies and you go to sleep and you dream about fucking zombies. Yeah, it's not hard to connect the dots. Subconsciously, the imagery is there.
That's why you don't watch.
It stirs an emotional response, maybe fear. Some people maybe get erect. I don't know, but I'm just saying whatever your trigger is, and then you have a dream. And that dream is just really, again, reflective of the experience. Some of us, such as Shiya, actually will transcend dynamics of time. Energy, what I mean, is not something that just, poof, it's gone. Not unlike recording a television show, memories, experiences exist beyond what I believe our concept of time is. So some of us can actually tap into that. So, again, little details.
Details matter.
That's where you can really...
Now, we'll tie this
breathing
thing back into the sacral chakra. It's amazing how much the sacral chakra just is involved in our entire life. What you hold in your gut, what you hold in you comes out afterwards, including elements of digestion, even when you're sleeping, can impact your dreams.
Absolutely.
As well as the things that spur your passions. Your sacral chakra can help express itself in your dreams so that the things that you're passionate about or the issues that you're having to deal with can come up in your dreams so that you can deal with them. Your subconscious.
Right. And many times, our dreams will be expressions of fantasy. They'll be expressions of the places we wished we could be, or the person we wished we could be, or the people we really wish we were around. Sometimes they're reflective, unfortunately, of bad dynamics, traumatic experiences. You know, one of the elements, you know, people with PTSD go through repetitively, consistently, are those dynamics carrying over into their subconscious and then coming out through fucked up dreams.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And those dynamics carry their own energy. You know what I mean? Again, and I was trying to have a conversation with somebody earlier today, and we were talking about a dynamic of somebody sharing a traumatic experience within a dream. And, you know, my take on this, and I'm just going to say this for what this is, when people experience these types of things, we have to be better at really being cognitive of it. Okay? We don't have to understand it. We don't have to agree with it. We don't even have to like it. But there is nothing worse, in my humble opinion, than invalidating somebody's feelings.
Yeah.
Okay? That is probably a key consistent trigger for most people. You know what I mean?
Karen, yeah, we're on fire tonight.
Yeah,
It's one of those nights.
Now, Honeyholic says, I never have dreams. Some people don't.
Or don't remember
Or they
them.
don't remember them. And
Scientifically, they've proven if you don't have dreams, you go crazy. You might not remember your dreams, but you are going into a REM
I think there's a lot of assumption on that. I've read some of those studies and stuff. We don't have a correlative control, unfortunately, because we don't understand the human mind enough to know what that dynamic really is. Because for some people, it's just it's the context of translation.
Yep.
All right. Because again, everything is about perception. So if your perception is based off a particular model, for whatever reason, you may not have that connection to it for whatever reason. And again, 1,001 different possibilities of why. You know what I mean? It's not just because, and it's not necessarily even a negative context. You know what I mean? There are, you know, elements.
Before Louise's comments goes away, I want to address that. Dreams can also be manipulated by, you know, what you read online, et cetera, et cetera. That's one of the reasons we've been doing the 8-hour meditations on the YouTube. You have the sacral meditation music that we just put up today. We have the root meditation, but you also have whale, storm, and the cosmic healing. And all of these things are designed to help us reset and manipulate, you know, our energy centers while we sleep, so that we are not only resting physically, but we are resting energetically as well.
And Amy hits upon that. She says, you know, I heard that people in busy cities struggle to dream due not to being able to go into REM sleep. Some of the hormone levels. Yeah, there are some particular contexts and cases that can be made. I think Honeyholic says, and here's the important detail. Used to have vivid dreams. After I lost my son, I just don't dream. As a parent, as one parent to another, absolute and complete empathy. I hope I never have to experience that dynamic, and I can't pretend to understand it. But what I do know from working with other people and the dynamics of loss, that type of trauma, yeah, there is your answer. That type of trauma, especially for a high-functioning empath, many times will cause us to literally shut down the receivers, and we'll call it the equipment. We shift, because dreams in many ways, especially again, unfortunately for high-functioning empaths, tend to reflect an emotional variable. So that almost sounds like a defense mechanism that you put in place to make sure that you don't go places you don't want to go. But again, my condolences and my sympathies for whatever that is truly worth. All right, so Karen says, in theta sleep, our ego leaves. I attribute that to not remembering dreams, but I remember my dream last night and have to touch base with a young soul. Again, this is where it gets, again, difficult because we all translate differently. We all process our perceptions differently. So half the battle, especially again within communication, is finding that common ground dynamic, which again is really where we need more work.
Big time.
But again, we live in a world where everything is just, all over the fucking place and, distracted by this. And you got fucking Chinese balloons falling across the sky. And you got Iggy Azalea, who's hawking her new album as long as you buy her OnlyFans so you can smell her pussy, which me personally, I don't want to listen to her music or smell her pussy.
No,
so yeah, that's my celebrity. It's like, this stuff fucks me up, so I can't even speak correctly. So let me do my sound bit correctly. This is my celebrity fuck you spot, Iggy. Okay, Izzy, whatever, whoever.
Fuck you are.
And listen, I don't begrudge women anything. I love women. You've had it fucked up for as long as time can remember, and I get it, okay? I'm not trying to pretend to understand I don't have a vagina, okay? I'm not going to do you that disservice. I'm not going to try and tell you what to do with your body. But I know men, and I know the context of how sex works, okay? So when you have somebody out there presenting a public view, and as a musician, okay, and you're saying, hey, I'm a musician, I'm a serious musician, take me seriously, but the only way you get to listen to my music is if you subscribe to my OnlyFans site. Okay? I'm sorry, okay? But that's just basically saying that the access to your music is through your pussy, and I'm not
coming out through it from her
going.
Chakra. I don't know.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're the one that...
I'm sorry, I had to. I'm the witch. I can
leave it to the witch to turn this into the vagina monologue. So that's how it works out here on a live show, boys and girls.
Keep on talking.
Yep, it happens. So yeah, again, certain things translate differently.
Thank you.
All right, and again, I don't begrudge certain dynamics. Again, I have friends who dance in different dynamics of things that some people would say, well, maybe that's weird. I have a good friend who lives on an Indian reservation, runs a business on an Indian reservation, but doesn't have a fucking CD player.
No. He doesn't have a CD player.
And I love my brother Bear. He's an incredible man.
Yeah,
but
I don't have
he's like, I just, like technology to the degree. He's just like, he's cool with some technology. He loves music, but he just can't get around it. So, and then, I have other friends who have, again, through other elements of how they've had to live their lives, I don't begrudge any of that when you're doing it honestly. You know what I mean? Again, it's like I have more respect for a street hooker than I do for a fucking priest. And you want to know why? The street hooker, straight up, she's like, I'll blow you for $20. The priest is going to sell you some bullshit about, this, that, the other thing, take you in the back, and then stick it in your ass. Okay? So, as far as I'm concerned,
the honest dynamic,
the street whore is the lesser evil. Okay? I personally, again, if given the choice, yes, I'm going to take the $20 whore over the priest every day of the week. Every day of the week.
And twice on Sunday.
Okay? Now, again, full disclosure, I'm not going to fuck the $20 whore. I'm smarter than that. I'll just give her the $20 for the time to save me from the fucking priest. That's how I'm looking at this. This is an investment in the future. So there doesn't even have to be a sexual dynamic involved. It's just like, here, $20, it's cool. I don't have to deal with the priest now. And everybody comes out, except the priest, which again, those of you who know me and followed any of my satirical comedy.
Father Flanagan.
Father Flanagan, you're a piece of shit, you little pedophile. That's right. I said it. Now, that's not to say that every priest is a pedophile, okay? Because a lot of them are not. But I also have a bit of a context problem in the dynamic, if anything, that says, okay, women have no voice. I'm sorry, didn't we have scriptures from a woman?
Yeah.
Well, no, we're not going to include them. We're just going to cherry pick.
Gospels of Mary
And
Magdalene.
anybody who says, no, the word has been altered. Ask Henry VIII. When Henry VIII decided he didn't want to fuck the woman he was with anymore,
Let's
he
change
basically had them rewrite the Bible so he could get rid of her.
Hey, let me start my own church.
Okay.
I'll be the head of the church now.
You think the Mormons just showed up out of nowhere with their magic underwear? No. A fucking man, a pedophile as well, just wandered out of the fucking woods. Jesus says, fuck the little girl.
I have the sacred golden
True story, boys and girls.
special glasses.
Now, that
Only I can read them.
doesn't mean that the Mormons of today are pedophiles. I recognize that they bought into a dynamic because somebody sold them bullshit.
An emotional
It
context.
doesn't mean that they don't have faith. It doesn't mean that they don't have spirituality. They just don't understand because the Mormon church basically has done everything in their power to, well, we're just going to bury that shit. We're going to pretend like it didn't happen. We're going to be like, well, you know, even though he was wrong here, you know, God speaks. Like, it's all semantic. It's all like, we're just going to play connect the dots until we
Now you want
create the Etch-a-Sketch that looks like how we want it. And it's insanity.
You want to hear the fucked up correlation here to the sacral chakra?
Please.
Is that turning around and controlling the sexuality of a populace through religion controls their passions, their creativities, their free expressions, all things that are rooted within the sacral chakra. If they can control sexuality and the sacral chakra of a populace, they can beat that populace down, and now that populace is under full control.
I'm sorry. I just have to clap.
Okay.
Okay, I have to do a real clap. That was just so good. Yes, sorry, boys and girls, I had to do that. Yes, Rachel, most, and this is where I don't believe most Christians, but unfortunately, Christian dogma tends to actively protect pedophiles. And it is very similar to the dynamic that you see, unfortunately, within police departments when we talk about dynamics of the blue wall. And I'm not an anti-police guy. I'm very actively supportive of law enforcement. However, when people fuck up, they fuck up. It should not be representative of the whole police department. And it only becomes representative of the whole police department when you allow these fucking assholes and bullies and scumbags to keep doing what they're fucking doing. It's a hard job. It sucks, okay? They don't get anywhere near the respect they deserve because the bad apples fuck it up, but you got to get rid of the fucking bad apples. So that's but again, it is a common theme, not only historically, and it was something we talked about when Derek came on.
Yeah.
What's a good word for all of this? Weaponized empathy. Yes. This is what weaponized empathy really is.
Yes.
It is taking a dynamic like the sacral chakra and manipulating people's sexuality, manipulating people's fear, their love. Rachel says, even if they don't agree with it, they still protect by victim shaming, turn the other cheek dogma, forgiveness mentality, and pushing victims to reassignment. Fucking amen. Yeah,
Amen. Yeah.
completely with you on that. And again, it is representative of a dynamic that, again, is as old as time itself. It is a control mechanism, and it is, unfortunately, a human dynamic. It is. And this is the new... listen, if there is a word that I want to really get out there and make it, you know, viable, weaponized empathy. Okay? Say it again. Weaponized empathy. Okay? Empathy is the dynamic of emotions. Weaponization obviously means using it to cause damage.
Yes, and the sacral chakra, again, puts into that because this is the center of our base emotions, our root emotions, our basic emotions of passion, creativity, inspiration are, for many years, most cultures across the world considered the sacral chakra in our gut area as the center of our emotions, not our heart. Our heart is more of a new dynamic. Our heart is a love-sharing thing. But our basic emotions, lust, and passion, and anger, strength, power, all of that shit, that's all in our sacral chakra. It is literally the fire within us. And if we are allowing others to control our fire, then we are losing our center of emotional dynamic.
Listen, I think it's a well put statement. It is a dynamic that, again, if you look at it, it does make sense.
Mm-hmm.
Have to make a shout out, say hello to my sister Diana. The assassin queen has come into the room. She's one of our good friends. I remember we were talking on some of this in a workshop I did last year, and I remember Diana was on, and you know, the emotional dynamic sometimes when we go through these things and we experience when people try and fuck with our sacral chakra, you know, let me tell you, you know, high functioning empaths, you know, there are one of two dynamics that usually plays out. The first dynamic is we become victimized.
Yep.
We become manipulated. The other side of the dynamic is we snap and we lose our shit.
And then
Me, not unlike my sister Diana,
comfortably not
tends to have that particular dynamic. If you cross particular fucking lines, yeah, it's not going to be pleasant. You know what I mean? You're going to get the rod, okay? And the rod bites. And the rod bites fucking hard.
Ow.
But that is, again, also, too, by its very dynamic, a product of conditioning. When we go through certain experiences, especially, again, and this isn't even just an emotional dynamic, this is an intelligence dynamic. You know what I mean? If every time you walk around the corner, some little fucker jumps out and kicks you in the balls, guess what? One day, I'm going to show up with a baseball bat and I'm going to brain your little fucking ass.
Yep.
Okay? We either adapt or we don't. Now, again, sometimes things like fear, and we talked about that
Also
a little earlier.
Within the sacral.
Exactly. Will prevent us from doing the things that we need to do, especially in the moment. But as time goes on, certain things, you know, again, we become now responsive to. There are triggers now, for better, for worse, good or bad. Now, we can still work on them. I still have to, you know, and all joking aside, you know what I mean? Diana's not the assassin queen because she's a fucking murderer. No. Okay, it's not like that. It's actually, you know, she's one of three people that has, you know, this moniker dynamic, you know, part of our core group of friends and stuff when we first started, you know, expanding on some of these things. But it's more representative of the dynamic, simply like, you know, Diana's not somebody you want to fuck with. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So
she'll come and punch you in the gut.
She's a mama bear. You know, she's a mother. She's been through some shit. She's seen through some shit. And she don't suffer fucking fools.
No. Good for her.
But
that's why we
that's just another story. Sorry, hon, I had to put you on the spot that I don't get to see you enough. So
now, can I start?
This was your turn. I had to fuck with you, but I still love you.
Can I start you on another rant?
Well, I was actually gonna take a quick break. I was gonna play the new monkey track.
Play the monkey track, and then
we'll come back and we'll get into some more stuff. So yeah, this again is the new theme song for the Indigo Monkeys kind of new podcast adventure RP that's in development.
Yeah, how many people here are role players, D&D players,
yeah, we'll talk
gamers?
Talk about it on the back end when we come back. So yeah, I'm going to play that real quick so we don't lose any more time. Enjoy the Monkey Tales. Yes, it's a different kind of music. Yes, I'll be doing more rock and roll metal, I promise, but everybody wants me to do this different stuff, so I have to be...
You kicked some ass at it. I think you did really
I know. I actually, one of my friends made fun of it.
Oh, they did?
Not in the that it was shitty, but just like, well, listen, I'm a long hair rock and roll guy. And here I am, crafting music
I know who made fun of it.
for a fucking anime show.
I know who.
So yeah, I called and they're like, "Hey, what are you going soft?" I'm like, "Fuck you, I'm not going soft." And again, that's my conditioning. I automatically go into that male response mode. Fuck you. Don't you question my manhood, motherfucker. You know what I mean? And it's toxic. But it is. And I know that, and I know better. But it's still a trigger.
But this is also an expression of your sacral chakra and your empathy with somebody else's sacral chakra.
Sacral chakra.
We'll talk about that in a few. But basically, you empathized with the monkey's creative process, and in connecting with
that was the dynamic.
You created this song. So let's hear it.
All right. So without further ado, Monkey Tales, and then we'll be back. So yes, that was Tales of the Indigo Monkey.
Woohoo!
A upcoming project that you can reach out to myself or Shiya if anybody is interested. It's basically going to be partially scripted, but partially live action, vocal only, dynamic of
role play.
Role play.
Yeah.
But the role play also has the dynamics of actual story dynamics. So it is something that has been used in group therapy. It has been used in many dynamics through the years. It is reflective of not only art, but of storytelling, in that we can translate sometimes dynamics of our experiences, of our perceptions, of our dreams, of our fears through this type of thing. And, you know, again, I'll be the first one to admit I'm emotionally compromised because he's my son, but he's an incredible storyteller. He builds characters with incredible depth, creates storylines that are really not just stories. They are thinking puzzles.
Yes.
Where, you know, you have multiple paths depending upon how you choose to look at a thing, to explore a dynamic, to explore an aspect, you know. And let's be honest, you know, especially in the framework of role play, and I'm not just talking in a sexual dynamic, it's what drives a lot of our creativity, aka our sacral
chakra.
You know what I mean? To live beyond the dynamics of our normal lives. This is what our music, this is what our art, our movies, you know what I mean? Halloween, Christmas, everything within our cultures and our fucking societies all reflect the dynamic of being more than what we are. It's what we strive to do, to be better. You know, some of us want to be superheroes. Some of us just want to be left the fuck alone. But
being in a Dungeons and Dragons style role play game is another way to really work on exercising your sacral chakra. You're getting in, you're having to creatively think through things. You're living through a dynamic story.
And the beauty of it is you get to step outside of yourself.
Yes.
So again, just one of the things, I'll be talking about it more in the future. I wanted to reply to something that I saw come through, and it's an important dynamic. I understand what Karen and others are talking about when you try and bring up certain dynamics, be it politics, be it religion. But here it is, and this is my best way that I think, at least for me, and I submit that maybe it can work. These are still our brothers and sisters, and they've been sold bullshit. Okay, bullshit has been sold to us on both ends of the spectrum. It doesn't matter if it's fucking Republican or Democratic or Libertarian. You know, a couple of basic dynamics that you can always use and that are consistent, aka if they live in a palace of gold and are telling you you should think a particular way, they're probably full of shit. Okay, and it doesn't matter, again, the other dynamics coming into play. There's the ulterior motive, the weaponized empathy. Okay?
There's that
and it has been a narrative in our culture for a long time. The problem is, again, the dynamics of fear and complacency, apathy. People get caught up in their lives, so we don't have these conversations. We don't really listen to the dynamics that are in play because we're all fucking charged up on this, that, or the other thing. Or again, we're distracted by a fucking weather balloon or a fucking train shitting toxic chemicals on another fucking helpless town. You know what I mean? Or a 14-year-old girl in New Jersey who fucking offs herself because the bullies in her school decided to fucking pick on her, record it, and then put it on social media. Okay? So we see this shit day in, day out, every fucking day. So you become conditioned. You're like, well, you know, this must be hell. So we just kind of, all right, well, might as well enjoy the ride. You know, and it's tough.
Yep.
Because we all have, again, our perspective. We have our lives. Everybody has that right to find what works for them. I don't want to begrudge anybody anything. But also in the simpler dynamic, we have to find at least a common ground to not fucking blow ourselves up. You know, certain base elements. Again, you know, I get it. People want to have more. I want to have more. But if you're dynamic, again, and I'll just, you know, again, put it bluntly, if you're out there, you know, selling a spiel, and I don't care if it's on Fox News or CNN, or if it's one of these Joel Osteen, you know, fucking, hey, you know what I mean, sell me your soul and, you know, I'll grant you the keys to the kingdom, or the Catholic Church, or the Scientologist, or the Save America Pact or any of them. They're all full of shit.
Yep.
Okay? Because guess what? They're all living in golden palaces. They're doing their things, and they're telling you that somebody else is the problem. Okay?
Always somebody
else. Okay?
Hey,
It's the immigrants coming in from Mexico. They're bringing the drugs. They're raping everybody. Okay? It's those black guys in Antifa. They're burning everything down. Oh, it's the Nazis over here telling us it's always something. It's always this.
Somebody else's
Nobody's saying, hey, what are you doing? Let's look at ourselves for a moment and just say, whoa, hold on. Okay? Simple base dynamics. Okay? I get. Again, we're going to agree to disagree on certain baselines. But there should be baselines that we can agree on.
Yeah.
Okay?
Basic human rights.
Even if you don't believe in the dynamic, say, of the Bible's take on it, thou shalt not kill, we can't have a context where people should just be able to kill people for no fucking reason. Yep. That's stupid. Rachel, I'm with you. When you come out and you basically your calling card is, hi, I'm a fucking Nazi, fuck you. There is no conversation. If you're a priest who's a pedophile, fuck you. There's no conversation. There should be zero tolerance for this dynamic. Now, again, a lot of people are like, hey, we have an illegitimate government. Guess what? We don't. Okay, this is the way our system works. Okay, people say, oh, well, there were more voters than... Guess what? Not only are there more people in this country than it was the last election cycle, more people came out to vote because they're freaked the fuck out, because they're pissed off. Okay? That's why the numbers are different. But here's the other thing, and this is an important dynamic. This is not just a Democratic left-wing thing. I'm talking guys, ultra-conservative guys, like Bill Barr, who was an attorney general for fucking 2 Republican presidents. Okay? I'm talking people that for their entire lives have been nothing but conservative. Say whatever you want about Mitt Romney and his fucking magical underwear, but he was one of the few guys to say, no, this is bullshit. Every fucking court in this country, including the courts that were appointed by Captain Cheeto. Yes, I call him Captain Cheeto.
Me too.
And listen, I'm a conservative kind of guy, okay? I would rather have fucking Nixon than this fucking idiot asshole again, because he doesn't care about people, okay? He lost the fucking election, and he used weaponized empathy to stir up the crazy people and then sold it to a bunch of people who believe in conservative ideals. So they say, well, I'm a conservative, so I have to go around. I have to follow this. Guess what? No, you don't. I'm a conservative, and I am not following these fucking assholes. Okay? And there are enough Republicans. Thank God for somebody like Liz Cheney. Okay? You want to look at a fucking conservative hero? Look at fucking Liz Cheney. Okay? A woman,
I love her.
Okay, who was stereotyped from the beginning, and I don't agree with all of her ideas.
No,
I don't agree with all of her philosophies,
I love her.
but she at least had the courage. She had more balls than most of the men in the Senate and the fucking House combined, and stood up and said, no, this is bullshit.
Yep.
We don't have to like the way things end up, and that's how politics work. It is a give and take. It goes back and it goes forth. But sometimes we have these moments where shit has to be defined. Like an Abraham Lincoln. When we had to have a fucking civil war. We didn't want to. We didn't want to kill our brothers and sisters. We really didn't. But when you get down to it, you know what the truth of the Civil War was? It was about money. Yep. It was about giving up slave labor. Okay? And unfortunately, black people at that point in time, unfortunately, they were the low end of the stick. Guess who was that beforehand? The Native Americans. Okay? Every civilization up until that point in time, all the way back, even back to the Vikings, slavery was a thing. Human lives were traded that way. The Romans did it. The Greeks did it. The Mayans did it. The Egyptians did it. Every fucking culture did it.
Yep.
Was it right?
Nope.
No. Does it justify it?
Nope.
No. But it is a dynamic of human nature that sometimes we have to take stands against the insanity. And that's what happened this last time around. People were like, oh no, we're not going down this path. Now, there should be balance. We need to look at things from both ends of the spectrum. But also in a simpler dynamic, I don't believe anybody wants to be told how to live their lives. And I think in fairness, if you're not hurting anybody with your choice, you should be allowed that choice. Whether that choice be in how you express your sexuality, whether that choice be in how you express your religion. Now, I understand certain things get a little bit more dicey when you start talking about a dynamic of abortion, but here's a simple dynamic that trumps that. I'm a man. What right do I have to get involved in the dynamic except to say, hey, I believe a woman has the right to choose?
Woo!
Doesn't mean that I agree with abortion.
No.
Doesn't mean that I like abortion. But am I going to go bomb an abortion clinic? Fuck no. That's insanity. That's the same dynamic when you come out there carrying that fucking Hail Hitler Nazi card. You don't get to sit at the table with the adults anymore because you have now, and I think truly identified yourself as, not being capable. And again, that doesn't mean just because you're a Republican, you're a racist. That's not a true thing. But in the same instance, just because you're a Democrat doesn't make you a communist. Okay?
Correct.
Doesn't make you a communist. Simple things. But again, we're off the fucking board again.
Actually, no.
But these are the things that make it's the passion.
It's passion, yes. And we should have some passion about, our how things are going.
Louise has some interesting stuff. Evil reverse spells live. Why can't these bind political secret societies, etc.? Listen, magic is limited. Okay? We, as individuals, are limited. Part of my dynamic, part of my philosophy that I try and teach is why strength in numbers is so important. When people come together, they can change dynamics together. And the reason we can't change things in our country, guess what? Is because they keep us divided. There it is. There's the simple truth. You keep a civilization divided, fighting between itself over this, that, and the other thing, and it's unable to focus on the bigger picture dynamic of what's going on above them. I wrote a song that Matt Brown performed on called View Below that talks about that dynamic that, we, again, as a society, don't learn from our history. We try and fucking whitewash it. No pun intended. We do. We try and fucking whitewash it. Oh, my sister Shiya. So this is a perfect time when Shiya shows up because I'm that kind of asshole. So here it is. One of the things that, again, in the submission requests and the email stuff and going is, I talk about people. I talk about the people that we're doing music with and involved with. So we have to go through some of the people now that we are involved with. Yes, there is me and my son. Now, most of these pictures are going to be from the Arts for Autism Festival. That
the witch was running around with the
because the witch was running around with the wolf. So, yes, that's me. Okay, so everybody, yes, I'm a real fucking person.
Hey,
okay?
Sarah.
So me and the monkey, I can move on. Yes, I'm looking at you. I'm looking at you all.
Now you can see my camera in the reflection of his glasses.
Yes. Can you see what I see?
Can you see the witch?
Okay. But other people like Shiya, who, and in all fairness and all joking aside, really excited. Shiya and her are working together in going through the lyric dynamics and aspects to put together what's going to be the next album. Again, for me, having the dynamics of other people, especially people that I respect and like, is inspiration. That is that sacral dynamic that gives me inspiration, that drives me. So yes, Sister Shiya is part of this new project, and Shiya is a real person.
Yes. Who knows me in real life.
Yes.
Louise, the word dynamic means invariable. It means change. So when you're talking about a dynamic, you're talking about a changing environment or something that is a change, or the environment that's changing around you. When you're saying this is the dynamic, you're saying this is the environment, this is a change, or to dynamic, this is a change that is occurring.
Well, in my own words, I use the context of dynamic to explain a concept, a construct, the dynamic of abuse, the dynamic of conditioning. So,
a set of circumstances.
A set of circumstances, an object. This is what makes language sometimes tricky, because again, we have our own interpretations, our perspectives. Sometimes it's lost in translation. Sometimes it's just, lack of knowledge in a moment. It doesn't make us wrong per se, but this is, again, why communication is so important. So for those of you who can't see, and those of you who are looking, are like, who are these people? Yeah, that's me. Most of these pictures include me. You can see the old wolf.
On the patch.
On the patch. Okay, you can see the tattoo on my fucking arm. Over on the right, the confused-looking woman, that's Suzanne Kuhn. That is our sister who, again, with Shiya,
wrote Her Desperate Mind.
Her Desperate Mind.
Yes.
The guy in the middle looking like, the kind of freaky stalker that he is my brother Chris Miller, a.k.a. Suzanne's man toy. Okay. And yes, he really does look that way.
And yes, I really did butt in on their
I'm not apologizing. I've been apologizing for him for over 30 years. I'm done. So
yeah.
Yes, Sarah, some people have I've gotten a couple of emails that are like, we never see you. And I'm like, yeah, I'm real. I don't do the camera thing. I'm a voice. I like the dynamic. It's the DJ in me. You know what I mean?
Voice.
I got that silky smooth thing, baby. So I just play it like that. Baby. But as soon as I get on camera and shit, my teeth are all fucked up. I'm getting old and stuff like that. Yeah, I just turn into a goddamn rotting pumpkin. So nobody wants to fucking see that. That's my justification. That's how I see it. That's my perspective. So it's better for all of you.
Yeah, no, fuck you.
So moving on.
Perspective rocks.
My brother Jonathan.
Porter.
My brother Jonathan is a real person. And he is the man with me who did the track Time of the Phoenix.
Yeah.
Okay. So yes, one of the great joys of my life is being able to do different songs, different music with the people around us. And they are you, okay?
Yeah.
They're real people. So when I put out there and I put the whole Wolfpack thing and I want people to get involved. Hey, come make an album. You want to build an app? I don't know. I don't care. Just come hang out. Have fun. Talk, cry, scream, whatever.
Rage.
Pictures. Some of the memes that, I've been doing have been from people submitting. The stories, I've been reading, people submitting. But yes, that's me and Jonathan. Now, sometimes, again, you get a bunch of pissed off clowns. And these are all family, okay? I got my son, the monkey, on the one side. You steampunk guy, okay? My brother, fat ass in the middle there, looking slightly human. And then the two clowns are members of our foundation, my brother Shrek and my sister Jersey, okay? These are great people. Even though they look like they'd probably pull your intestines out through your nose, they're still good people.
Well, they'll pull out somebody else's intestines.
They might. I'm just saying, the stories I hear. Now, I talk about Jim Beck, and Jim Beck was the singer in Broken Past back originally when we first started writing songs and stuff like that. He and I had the opportunity to perform again back in the fall at the autism event, and he and I are working on new music now. So yeah, that's Jim Beck looking at me like, what the fuck are you doing? Well, I'm probably playing my guitar in a particular way, and we'll get to that dynamic. And that's my brother Danny Watts. Yes, Danny Watts is a real guy. He's a real guitar player.
Pretty cool.
And he's another guy that does music with me and I love, and you know what I mean?
Girl cat too. She's pretty
Have I wrote a song? A lot of my songs are about different dynamics, but I use words more in a visual sense sometimes. I come from the George Carlin School of Language, so it's a bit fucked up. You know what I mean? And sometimes there'll be, words within words that are kind of hidden beyond other definitions of things, and it kind of leads you through kind of a weird kind of, scary haunted house of, let me figure out my shit, and then you come out the end of the experience naked in front of a crowd of people, and you're like, oh, wow, now everybody gets to see me for who I am. It's kind of like that.
Yep.
So, some dynamics, again, and people are like, well, have you always been this way? Yes, I have always been this way. This is one of very few. And again,
how old were you?
Young enough not to know fucking better, and obviously not paying attention enough to stop somebody from taking my fucking picture. But yeah, this is who I've been. This is unfortunately part of who I've always been. You know what I mean? Music has always been a part of my life. Yes, for most of my life, I've been a long-haired type. But I also come from very conservative dynamics. My grandfather wrote the book on conservative dynamics. Again, I've been promising this, and it is coming down the pike. It's just a lot of work that has to be done for this particular podcast. But yes, we're going to be talking about my family history, my family connection with things like
deep, guys.
The McCarthy era and all the bullshit that, unfortunately, that we're contending with now. So yeah, that'll be a lot of fun for me. I get to walk out not only butt-ass naked, but I get to bend over and spread my ass cheeks for all of you. Ooh, looking forward to that.
What's the other one?
So this is one of my favorite shots. This is a shot that Bob Schultz got at the Rock Against History show. It's me playing pretty much my go-to guitar. It is the BC Rich Snake. It is, just again, a dynamic, an extension of me now. It has history, and I'm not going to go into all that blah, 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 but, it is, again, a black and white, and as always, yes, my eyes are closed. Now, again, to just kind of bring to this point, this is me and my son performing, and yes, I do. I play with my fucking eyes closed.
Because you're getting into your sacral chakra.
This is what happens. This is what I do. Photographers fucking hate me.
I love it.
Okay, and I've joked about this before, but yes. So, for those people who did submit, here it is. These are the people in my neighborhood. This is me. I might, at some point, decide to do camera again, but that probably won't happen for at least another century or two. And none of you will live. See, I'm immortal, so none of you will live that long to see it, so I don't have to worry about it. But yeah, that is, again, just a little dynamic. Now, some of the things, and I wanted to hit upon this too, some of the things I've been getting have been just like kind of meme submissions, and they're really cool, and I do appreciate them. One of them I used in a dynamic, and it's a quote from Edgar Allan Poe, and it's really just a simple one, and I think it's incredibly powerful. And it says this: tell me every terrible thing you ever did, and let me love you anyway. That is
powerful.
A dynamic of acceptance. That is a pure expression, I think, of empathy. That we should to certain degrees, love the dynamics that are maybe not as pretty. That maybe part of the problem is that by so opposing it, that we have now, in many ways, as Mary Shelley said, we've created our own fucking monsters.
Yep.
Again, just a thought. Conversation for another day. I tend to, again, I really gravitate to the dark stuff. This was an incredibly beautiful submission. And it just, again, kind of like your semi-romantic, your dark demon lover in your cathedral of death.
Sounds good to me.
Listen, again, visual dynamics, dark embraces light, light embraces dark. I thought it was a beautiful imagery, take of it what you will. But again, as promised, I am trying to, again, share all of the dynamics that are submitted to me. Now, this one's a personal favorite of mine, and I chose this specifically, again, because it's something that I believe in the dynamic. And it's a quote from F. Scott Fitzgerald, and I'm going to read it. She was beautiful, but not like those girls in the magazines. She was beautiful for the way she thought. She was beautiful for the sparkle in her eyes when she talked about something she loved. She was beautiful for her ability to make other people smile, even if she was sad. No, she wasn't beautiful for something as temporary as her looks. She was beautiful deep down to her soul. Those are powerful fucking words. Those are words spoken from the sacral.
Sacral.
But again, when you take that dynamic, okay, and you frame it against, unfortunately, what I see that we have now, too much of what we live in is not real. It's an illusion. It's somebody else's fucking imagery. It's somebody else's opinion. It's somebody else's concept. Dress like this, smell like that. But real beauty? Again, dynamic. How do we put certain elements of things, as jokingly before, how do you express a dynamic like passion, like beauty, like love? We all have our interpretations, and it's not to say that any of them are less than or more than. But when we really look at it, and again, if we're really going to be honest, why is so much based on something as temporary as fucking our physical looks? Because again, that's what we're conditioned to think. Okay? And, you know, again, I understand there's a dynamic for chemistry, there's a dynamic for passion, we like what we like, but is it real? Okay? Is it real? And I think these words address that in a way that, you know, again, and many times can be difficult to give voice to. I'm sure everybody's been in a situation. It's hard to express your emotions. You know, we don't want to be thought less than. We surely don't want to be rejected. God forbid somebody fucking laughs at us or thinks less. You know what I mean? So there's all these obstacles in the way. It says, ooh, you know what I mean? And what ends up happening is the dynamics of our chakra become now blocked. And many times, we're the ones blocking it.
Yes.
So, my little witch, why don't you jump in on that whole blockage? Because I know you love blockages so well.
Don't we all?
Yeah.
Not constantly fighting up against chakra blockage. So when your sacral chakra is blocked, you lose the ability for the independent thought, the independent creative processes, it affects you physically. You always talk about how our emotions touch us physically, like unlike radiation. That, you know, if our sacral chakra is blocked, we're going to have problems in our family dynamics. We're going to have problems with our creativity, with our passion, and even our free spirit, our free thought. You know, so we've got to do everything we can to embrace a little bit of our passionate, creative nature.
But it also, in some degrees, also blocks us from actually connecting with people. Because again, if your perspective...
It's an emotional center.
And I throw this out as a hypothesis, okay? A theoretical, something to chew on. If your perspective is based off of a dynamic that is an illusion, and I'm not talking about the dynamic that you knew it, but if it's based off an illusion, which by default means it's based off of a lie, then everything else from it now becomes suspect.
Yes.
If you take away the variable, aka if you ask a blind man Is a blind man not capable of love? Is a blind woman not capable of passion? You remove the visual dynamic, and again, I hate to use this, but this is perfect because this is why I don't go on camera, because we don't need the visual. You just need to hear what I'm saying. You like how I did that?
I do.
See, I can justify my own shit with the best of them.
Because you're an empath.
Yes, I am.
Empaths are good at justifying.
Oh, yeah. Oh, hell yeah. Great at helping everybody else. Fuck myself.
He gave me the look when
But
he
no,
said that.
seriously, in the dynamic, if it's not real, and again, that's not to say, listen, I know women that are beautiful, okay? I think Shiya is beautiful. I think Shiya is beautiful. I think Diana's beautiful. I think you're all beautiful, okay? But why does it have to define our ability to love? Why is it, again, that if it doesn't fit somebody else's context, you know, AKA, and I hate to use this, but I'm going to use it. It's going to be my next celebrity fuck you moment. If we're setting standards based off of people like fucking Kim Kardashian and fucking, you know, I'm sorry to say, these exploitive dynamics, okay, who the fuck are we kidding? It's no wonder our society is splinting around because we don't have real connections, okay? We don't have honest dynamics. We have these flimsy fucking imaginary, you know, tricks and, you know, little drugs to hide. And listen, sex and all that's a drug. Don't fucking kid yourself. Anything that changes the dynamics of how you feel by its very nature is the same dynamic. So you can drown yourself in heroin, you can drown yourself in food, you can drown yourself in sex, you can drown yourself in depression, you can drown yourself in anything. They're not always your fault. But, again, if the context, if the dynamic, whatever word you want to use, if it's a lie, if it's not real, then everything else from there is suspect. Now, we all have to draw our own conclusions. Ultimately, our experiences are unique to each other. So, you know, we like what we like, and we don't like what we don't like. Yes, I'm sorry if I get confronted by two hobos fucking in a shoe full of piss. I'm not going to feel that they're beautiful, and I'm not going to express beauty, and I'm probably not even going to get close enough to have the conversation. Yeah, I'll be honest. Now, if they're two hobos bleeding in a pool of piss, or a shoe of piss as the case may be, I might have a different dynamic because, all right, well, maybe something's going on, maybe they needed help. But if they're fucking, they obviously don't give a shit about anyone else, so they're not going to give a shit about me, so I'm going to mind my own fucking business and I'm going to go on my way anyway. Comedic, satire, but, again, situational. That's what context is about. Not everything always applies in every situation. You know, you talk to people who have gone through active combat, and there's difference between the elements when you are in an active combat situation versus when you're not in an active combat situation. Now, that's, again, more of an extreme example, but we all wear masks. We get up every day and we go out and we say, okay, this is what I have to do. And maybe what you have to do is shovel pig shit. So you're going to put a mask on so you don't lose your mind. Maybe your job is dealing with, you know, delinquent hoodlums and they're little assholes. And it sucks, but you put the mask on and you do what you got to do. Maybe what you have to do is maybe you dance at a strip club, or maybe you work at a self-storage facility, or maybe you work for an insurance company. But we all wear masks to deal with the aspects around us. Doesn't make us less than.
No, we have to.
It actually makes us better because it at least shows the ability that we can adapt in a given situation. We do what we have to do to survive. It's not always pretty, but the dynamic that somehow now that's going to be judged. That somebody else can come in and say, oh, you're a garbage man. That makes you less than. Oh, you're a stripper. Oh, that makes, no.
That's not how
See,
this works.
this again, this is the breakdown. This is the illusion part, that somehow this dynamic defines us. So now everything's become so two-dimensional, most people don't even bother. They don't want to know. They don't want to hear. And as mentioned earlier, you open certain doors on conversation, be it politics or religion or sexuality. Yeah, good chance it's going to go fucking sideways.
We have been taught as a culture to not connect with our sacral chakras. We have been taught as a culture to not connect with our independent thinking, with our creativity. I think we're getting it back. I think that people are starting to get their creative sides back, their sexuality back, their independent thinking back. There's like this great divide between people who are getting it back and then others who are just going deeper down that rabbit hole.
The dynamics of knowledge and technology and all these things have now advanced us, so we don't have to spend all our time trying to survive, looking for food and stuff like that. We can focus on dynamics of the mind. We can focus on dynamics of the soul, of the spirit, and we can look beyond. And because of that now, people are seeing things differently. They're experiencing things differently. And I think a big part of it, I think the pandemic, to some degrees, woke this dynamic up. It forced people to say, you know what? All it takes is a microscopic bug to just fuck the whole thing up. And if it's not that, it's going to be a fucking Chinese balloon, or it's going to be a shitty chemical company that has lied for years and drops a big shitty chemical bomb on your town, or because the politicians in your town, unbeknownst to you, have been pumping lead into your water. 1,001 different scenarios, all of them legitimate, all of them real. So again, what do people do? Fuck it, I'm going to OnlyFans and I'm going to jerk off. That's what I'm going to do. You know what I mean? And that becomes the mentality.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And some of it, again, goes back to aspects of generational dynamics. Men are conditioned, they're taught to look at women for particular things. Okay? They look at it, from obvious sexuality, the possession thing. The better looking the woman is, obviously, the more esteem, the better social status the man has, because he has a possession that other men want. And that makes me better than you.
Yeah.
So that's just one example. Aspects of violence. Okay. Misogyny. I do what I want because I'm the man. God gave me that right. Woman, you were made from my rib. Fuck off. That type of dogmatic,
good thing I don't believe
generational insanity has led us to where we are now.
Yeah.
And again, that's not to begrudge religion. That's not to even blame religion. And it's not to say that's Jesus' fault. Nothing I saw ever said that Jesus went around smacking women. Okay? No. Nothing I ever read that, that he did any of those things. Exactly the opposite. He, in his words, or at least the words they say are his words, which is the thing that drives me absolutely apeshit. Like, okay, you say that these are his words, but you don't even follow the words of the guy that you say represents your religion. Like, how the fuck does that even play out, man? Really, if that isn't the definition of fucking insanity, I don't know what is. You know what I mean? So Jesus did it, but we don't want to do that now. Again,
Jesus himself called the religious right whited sepulchres. That they looked all pretty on the outside, but they were nothing but rotten on the
again,
inside.
you can make any number of analogies through every historical context. Again, it doesn't matter if the Egyptians or the Romans or the Greeks. Yeah. It was the same thing. It was the same thing over and over and over and over and over again, repackaged. But again, the dynamic, when you suppress the sacral.
Now, can we get into that?
The sacral and sacral thing is simply this. It's definition. And this is where language splintered. Sacral refers more specifically to the holy context dynamic. Sacral refers to the dynamic of its location within the gut. So again, depending upon who you talk to within whatever particular circle, no pun intended, one person will have this take, sacral, and then somebody will be like, hey, sacral. They're both equally right, again, depending upon the context of how you're using. Mary, good
I
evening.
believe
Welcome.
that the sacral is sacred, you know, and that we have to do things to start reconnecting with our sacral chakras.
Louise asks, is it okay to wear a mask to put on the side of us that is less of? Yeah, I think it's a context of survival. I don't think we have a whole lot of choice. I think practical reality says that we don't get the luxury of always looking at things from what they should be.
We have to survive in a narcissistic world of weaponized empathy.
Right.
So sometimes that mask is our shielding.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong, you have to look at it as a case-to-case basis. Again, I believe and I know it's redundant, but the details matter. Context is the defining aspect. And you have to really, again, take those extra steps to look beyond the initial emotional response, the trigger, as they say.
Now, I will say it is important to know who you are for yourself beneath the masks. But there is a context where those masks are survival.
Listen, sometimes over time, and I've been through this, and I'm first one to admit, over time, masks become conditioning. And conditioning becomes part of our nature, whether we like it or not. Now, again, this is where strength in numbers becomes so incredibly important, because when we are looking from the inside out, we can't always see that. Again, by the very nature, the definition of being emotionally compromised, we're not able to see the truth, to see past the illusions. And, let's be honest, many times it's tough. It's not easy to be able to let go of the ego, as been mentioned by others. And it's a very accurate definition. We tend to, as humans, create our own reality. And when that reality is threatened, we react accordingly.
Yep.
Again, not every case is the same. So there are times that, yes, you need to hold to your guns. You need to trust your instincts, because the dynamic is you are right and other people will be wrong. But I like, and I try to always look at both ends of the coin. You know what I mean? You have to. A coin has two sides by its nature. That's what makes the coin. So there are usually two sides to every dynamic, and you have to look at them. Now, again, certain things are cut and dry. If you run into Father Flanagan and he's trying to fuck a little boy in the back alley, you have my blessing to fuck him up, save the child. No need for debate. No need for consultation. You are allowed to react in that moment, okay? There is context, okay? But just because a guy looks weird and, you don't see him hanging around with girls and stuff and lives alone, doesn't mean that you get to beat him up because he looks like a fucking pedo. There's a difference, okay? And in the same analogy, just because a woman dresses a particular way, and guys, I'm sorry, but again, here's the simple truth. Just because a woman dresses a particular way does not it reflects their intent, and it surely does not reflect their intent to you. They, too, are victims of conditioning. Much of it is based on these bullshit illusions about how they're supposed to look, how they're supposed to present themselves. But that does not mean that just because they look a particular way, you get to act out on it. AKA, just because a woman dresses maybe kind of seductively at the club, oh, well, man, she's asking for it. She wants to get fucked. No, fuck you. That's rape, dude. That's rape.
I want to feel good. I want to look good. If I'm going to dress a certain way, I'm doing that for me, and maybe I might be doing it.
But the male conditioning, again, has corrupted the sacral part to that my dick now controls my destiny.
That unhealthy sexuality.
So that degree, that energy is toxic. It is dark. It is not good. And that's not to say that passion and lust can't be good in certain, contexts.
Passion and lust, it's a beautiful thing. I mean, we were talking about tantric earlier.
Yes.
That, tantric, any kind of tantric interactions, that's a positive, healthy sexual interaction. And it can go a million directions from there, but healthy sex, good sexual attitudes, and communications is a beautiful thing to help with the sacral chakra.
But you forgot the other side of the context is you were trying to justify the context that somehow I should go to like an S&M dungeon with you and explore it. So you forgot the most important part of that context.
It's okay. Hey, it's
all right. So you need to be truthful about that dynamic.
Fine. I think that exploring different aspects of sexuality can be healthy for some people.
And people wonder why I'm scared for my life.
And then for some people,
dear diary, this may be my last entry.
All right.
I see my future coming to an abrupt end on a wheel of pain and humiliation.
Did you see my cat of nine tails? Oh, God, I hit it better than that. No, but seriously, the thing is that some dynamics, such as, let's take BDSM, for some people, that could be a very healthy dynamic. For other people, it can be an extremely unhealthy dynamic.
Listen, again,
it's different for everybody.
Sexuality, weaponized, empathy, weaponized. These are all just variations on the theme, different words. Because weaponized empathy is also a dynamic. Every fucking beer commercial you see has women with big titties and short shorts.
Me wearing short shorts.
That's weaponized empathy. They're like, guys, if you just drink enough, whatever woman happens to be next to you will look like this, and they'll love you, and they want you to fuck you. Just drink more. And there it is. You have entire generations that have now been fucking chemically conditioned into beer.
Beer goggles.
Beer goggles. Again, I don't begrudge people want to go out and have a good time. I get it. I understand it. But when we don't understand the elements, what these actions, what these dynamics really lay down, again, as a parent, you look at the dynamic of conditioning, and I talk about this again, time and time again. I grew up in a household where both my parents drank, where they both did drugs, and as such, I did drugs and I did alcohol. My son grew up in a dynamic where he didn't see it or anywhere near to the degree, and he didn't follow that pattern. It's not rocket science. It really isn't, okay? It just isn't. We talk about, our kids are going out and they're crashing, they're killing themselves on, on their graduation night. And well, you know what? You know what we did as parents for our kids? We made sure none of them could go out and do that. Get involved, okay? If you're worried about your kid, fucking do something. Don't just sit there and blame other people and say, because guess what? They're going to do the same fucked up things because everyone else around them is doing stupid fucked up things. What do you think is going to happen when they go on MTV and they watch Jersey Shore and everybody emulates and says, oh, JWoww is so cool. I want to be like Snooki. They're both fucking bimbos, okay? Yes, I said it, and I'm going to say it again. They're fucking bimbos.
But you had
nobody in their right mind should want their child anywhere near that dynamic. It is catastrophic. It is devastating. So what you now have created a culture, society, basically, where people are getting fucked up, fucking each other, and then running away from the consequences.
But you had an important dynamic with the monkey, which I think is really critical that everybody should do, which is making sure that you maintained those connections with your son.
But he still had the outside influences.
He had the outside influences and everything.
But again, this is the stuff that we glamorize. We promote it. We push it out there. You know what I mean? And again, context. There's a difference between, a situational thing where people get together, they have a good time, and you know what I mean? You see a cute girl, and the two of you hook up, and it's mutual, and that's fine, that's beautiful. Have those experiences.
Yeah.
But, and I've seen this when, you go out and you look for the drunkest chick because guess what? She's not going to remember it, so I can just do whatever I want and sneak out the back door. That's fucking rape.
Yep.
Okay? Or in a dynamic where you promote how it's cool to go out and play women against each other to see, well, which one's gonna jump on my dick the most here? Yeah, because I'm a cool guy. Yeah, because I'm Jersey Shore, right? My name's Vinny. I'm a tough guy. No, this is all bullshit. They're fucking assholes.
Yep.
Okay, nobody should want to emulate this.
Nope.
This is not a good time. Okay? Ask Mike what happened to him. They sent him to fucking prison because he's a fucking tax cheat. Okay? But yeah, we're going to get a follow-up series because everybody wants to see who's going to fuck who next. And then we wonder why kids are going home and killing themselves, and then other kids are going to school and killing everybody else.
And honestly, that's another weaponized empathy attack on the sacral chakra.
Yes.
Let's go ahead and train people into this level of connection, into this level of whatever, and
Or this level of disconnect.
or disconnect. And let's critically wound your sacral chakra so that you believe all passion, all sexuality should be like this Jersey Shore dynamic.
And Jonathan makes a great point. He says, I came home drunk and cross-faded growing up, and despite how sheltered I was, my parents were none the wiser.
Yep.
And it does reflect the dynamic sometimes of the connection, but it also reflects the dynamic of societal and cultural influences.
Yes.
Most of us, especially when we're younger, we want to be accepted. We want to be a part of. Human nature says we want to be part of the herd. Most of us. Okay? We want to be liked. We want to be loved.
Yeah.
We want all these things. So if we don't get it, we do things to get it. So if the people around us, and it's the old analogy, your mother says, well, if everybody jumps off a bridge, are you going to? Probably, because that's how it goes down.
It's about connection.
Group
People want
mentality. Because
connection.
guess what? The dynamic is still the same. People see it, they repeat it, they
Yep.
follow it. The fucking Tide Pod Challenge. Again,
Get out of my
these
head.
stupid dynamics, again, are based off of not only weaponized empathy, but a slow and deliberate erasure of our ability to actually connect. And this is how I'm going to end it and tie it in with our sacral chakra, because this is where our inspiration, this is where our sexuality, this is where our passion comes from. So when it's corrupted, when it's co-opted, when it's literally blocked with bullshit and cheese whiz and fucking OnlyFans and God knows what else, there's nowhere to go. Now again, I'm not saying that OnlyFans is bad, and I know I've hit on them a few times, and that's not fair to all the women who legitimately, for whatever reasons, use it in the context and use it correctly. Okay? I'm not a prude. Okay? I like porn. Okay? I do. I like seeing naked women. I try and be respectful of the dynamic to the degree that I don't cross certain boundaries, but nonetheless, I still have feelings and emotions. I enjoy looking at Shiya naked more so than I do pornography, but she doesn't always let me look at her naked. So, okay, I have to use my imagination. That's okay too. But what's not okay is objectifying. What's not okay is forcing dynamics upon another person because somebody else said it there, or because this is, or just simply because you want it. Okay? It doesn't work. Okay? But we can do better. It went a little sideways. Not exactly how I thought everything was.
You know what?
But that's okay. No. This is the organic nature, and I. You know what? You know what it is. I'm used to just having that steady thing. So even I, and full disclosure here, sometimes get amazed at the dynamic of how energy can just go where the fuck it wants to go, despite me trying to be like. And really, I felt like I was on my surfing board. I'm like, no, I don't want to go here. And it's just like the ocean, yeah, fuck you, you're going here.
Ride the wave, dude.
Yeah,
ride the wave
man,
where it takes you.
But, when you're on a motorcycle, that happens. That usually ends up in death.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that natural instinct in me, and that's from back in the day riding, it's just like, oh shit, I'm going to die. Oh shit, I'm going to die. Oh shit, I'm going to die. I don't want to die. I don't want to die.
Hey,
see?
I'll cast spells on you.
No, you'll bring me back, and it'll
back
be worse. So you've been watching Castlevania, and I know you're thinking about that. You're thinking about the Force Master. You're thinking this is like the perfect thing. A perpetual, eternal slave under your control. Help. Help me.
Damn it, he found my diary. Shit.
So listen, I'm going to close it out tonight with a track my brother Jonathan and I did called Time of the Phoenix. I haven't played that one in a few. Remember,
I can't believe it's 10 o'clock already.
love each other. Do the best that you can, okay? Try not to be afraid. Marcia, if you're still out there, all the best of luck. Nail that fucking midterm. Everybody else, thank you for participating. Thank you for sharing. Please keep the submissions going. Please like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. It's what allows us to do the things that we do. And it's what's going to allow us to do other things. We have to hit a milestone. And I didn't want to do this at the beginning, but I'm going to close it out because nobody's going to pay attention. We need to get over 1,000 subscribers so that we can expand on the channel. YouTube's new rules and stuff like that. Until you hit a certain level of actual people that actually follow you, they don't want you building off of it anymore. And I get it because there's so much bullshit out there. But those of us who are actually trying to do things and provide it free of charge without going through all the paid dynamic insanity, some of the things that we'd like to do, there's no other way around it. So the only way that we can even get to that point, please like and subscribe to the channel. Doesn't cost you anything.
And enjoy
Share the music.
Sacral Chakra music.
Yes, the 8-hour loop is black screen is up on the YouTube channel. Please feel free to use it. Share it
while you sleep.
Listen before you sleep, whatever.
Cook, while you
I'm going to be posting the
meditate.
6-minute version on Facebook, and we'll be doing other releases. Obviously, this is what we do. This is what I do. So we'll keep doing it as much as possible. So yes, I'm going to close out tonight with Time of the Phoenix. And until next time, peace out. Love you all. Yes, this is the dynamics of live broadcasting. Everything technically has, yes, it cut off, then cut on. Again, when you use certain dynamics of tech, especially with live broadcasting, and she's pointing.
I think it's up a little bit. Tiny bit.
Yeah, tiny bit. No, see, again.
Up above demons.
Yeah, no.
No.
No,
Okay,
no,
then
no,
it's
no.
all the way at the bottom.
Yeah, and it's not.
That is the video.
No, that's the audio.
That's the video too.
Yeah, okay. I think you were
You're gonna
wrong.
have to move
But, all right.
above.
So we're going to try and close this out with Time of the Phoenix. I'm going to try it one more time. I'm going to reset things, and hey, we'll keep doing this. Never give up. Never surrender. Till next time.
If I could turn back time by, the times are right to die. Days go by, years go by.